There we go. Well, the purpose of the call today is to not only to share the excitement of getting started, which I feel it, and and I'm super pumped up about it because we're also starting into the kickoffs of some other strategic pillars in this, digital marketing being one and PR being another. So the purpose of the call, not only for the camaraderie, is to share knowledge today. And RevitalVision was completely new to me a couple of months ago, and there's a lot to learn about it. And it's innovative and it's unique. And I think when we're armed with knowledge, we can go out that much stronger into the marketplace. So with that, I've asked Yair to present, and then also for Rona to share some information about the portfolio of marketing collateral that's available to us.
Um, I have three presentations. I have more, but the three main ones are usually an overview of the company and the business opportunity, which is basically the deck. I've trained to do it in 6 or 7 minutes. And then I have um, the mechanism of action, our science. It's about 15 minutes presentation, and I have a clinical evidence review, um, which you can do short or long. And this is more easy to learn on your own. I can do an overview. And the rest, I mean, I have various presentations like competitive landscape, the advantages, etc. So let me know with an hour that we have, where do you like me to focus or to start?
I'd love the 7 minute deck first, and then dive into the clinicals, um, and see how far we can get. What we talked about with Charles is doing these on a weekly basis. And so as we go, we'll get a little bit deeper. There'll probably be some questions that we can hit in the following week, just so we keep getting smarter as we go.
Right. Um, I open the Eye Care Innovation Summit presentation.
Which he delivered very, very well for those that were not there. So Ronan Yuval, you would have been very proud.
All right.
We'll give sorry I was late. I clicked on join rather than on the link. So it
Yeah, there
took
you
me
go.
somewhere else. And that's what Allison did too. So I just told her click on the link rather than the join button.
Hey,
All right.
you didn't miss much.
And Mark, we're recording it, so as the team becomes available, we'll be able to refer back to it.
What he's really trying to tell all of you is that when Kramer needs a refresh, I have to go back and rewatch this.
Exactly.
So nice to meet. I'm Yair Yav. I'm the CEO and founder of RevitalVision. And I'll start with an overview on RevitalVision and the business opportunity. We are a digital health startup. We offer a unique solution that utilizes neuroplasticity to improve vision. There are hundreds of millions of people worldwide with poor or insufficient vision, which cannot be further improved by existing vision treatments, starting with amblyopia beyond the critical age, 9 and up. Then we have people that suffer from low vision from various eye diseases who already maximize vision potential by treating the eyes. And we have unhappy post-cataract and laser refractive surgery patients, which are in many cases are ametropic with even good VA, suffering from low contrast sensitivity, difficult to neuroadapt, or side effects like glare, halo, etc. In addition to those indications, we have the wellness indications. People with a minor refractive error who would like to see better without their glasses, without their correction, and also people with normal vision who want superior vision. So the current or existing vision treatments focuses on bending light rays and restoring the anatomy of the eyes. Our solution is very unique. We treat the brain. RevitalVision improves vision by enhancing the brain ability to process visual information which results in significant vision improvement beyond available treatments, beyond the eyes, simply because vision quality depends both on image capturing and image processing. We have three main programs. First is to improve best corrected vision in amblyopia and stable pathologies beyond the critical age, so 9 and up. The second is to improve contrast sensitivity and facilitate neuroadaptation post-cataract and refractive surgery. And the third is to improve uncorrected vision in patients with a minor refractive error. That refers to near or distance. Our product is a home-based vision training app that effectively stimulates the brain visual cortex. It's algorithm and cloud-based technology, which is tailored to patient-specific needs. So a standard treatment starts with the eye care specialist. He will examine the patient, and if the patient is suitable and would like to proceed, they offer the treatment, they prescribe, which means they need to set up the patient on a cloud-based portal. Then an automatic email is sent to the patient goes home, and they follow up the instructions. They need to train 3 to 4 times a week. Each session takes approximately 30 minutes, and they need to complete a series of training between 30 to 40 training sessions and to come back to the clinic for a follow-up exam. We recommend mid and post examination, and the clinician will again enter the new data to the cloud-based portal. So from the patient side, it doesn't require a lot, an hour and a half, maximum 2 hours weekly. And to complete these 8 to 12 weeks of training. And from the clinician side, it doesn't distract them. It doesn't replace anything. It's just another 5 minutes to set up them on the cloud-based portal. The clinical outcome are significant improvement in vision, 100% on average in contrast sensitivity function, more than 2 lines on the visual acuity chart, and many of the amblyopia and nystagmus patients improve stereo and binocular functions in adults, which is very difficult to achieve during the critical period. Our key advantages: we are the only FDA-cleared product with efficacy claim to improve vision in amblyopia age 9 and up. No other products. We applied and received 2 new CPT codes for the treatment of amblyopia. It's available now in the system, but we still need to educate the payers. These are category 3 codes, no pricing yet. It was validated in multiple clinical indications. And it's very easy to use because there is no hardware. The patient is just using their own computer at home. All they need to have is a PC, as a screen between 14 to 27 inches. They use and a Chrome browser and a mouse. We are now making it available into more browsers. The science behind the RevitalVision, we use proprietary visual stimulation technique that induces very high neural response in specific neurons in the primary visual cortex. We have extensive clinical evidence with 28 clinical studies, 12 published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. 8 of them are randomized control studies. And we also have 5 ongoing RCTs. 2 of them were presented this year in the US. So in April, both of them were in April in APOS in Austin, American Academy for Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus. It's a controlled randomized study of patients 9 to 55 with poor best corrected vision, and we had significant improvement in vision, both in near and distance VA, stereo and binocular functions. almost quarter of the patients without functional vision, so they cannot drive, now are able to drive. There was another one in the clinic today here, next to in the office next to me, 54 years old gentleman that with nystagmus, you see the eyes move very fast, and he was told all of his life, there's no way you can drive. And today, the optometrist signed. And the second study was presented in ASCRS in Boston on keratoconus, stable keratoconus patients. So these patients are 1 year following cross-linking surgery. They have stable vision, but poor best-corrected vision. So even with scleral lenses or contacts or glasses, they don't have good vision, below functional vision. They improve 2.5 lines with 100% improvement in contrast sensitivity. So just imagine the impact on their life. This is a brand new study from September 30 on American Journal of Ophthalmology, another study on keratoconus, control, randomized, double-blind study. We didn't spend $1 because the customer did it on his own. So we were just informed it was accepted for publication and got a message that it was published. So this is a great marketing tool to come to any practice that use, they focuses on specialty lenses, scleral lenses, anything to do with keratoconus patients to offer them additional vision improvement. Our business model, we are a SaaS-based company, is B2B. I mean, is clinic subscription. Any eye care specialist clinic that would like to offer the treatment to their patients, they need to hold an active subscription with us. We have various subscription plans to meet the needs of various clinics. Some would focus on sports vision, other on amblyopia or the post-surgery indications. And if they choose annual subscription, they have 50% discount. Currently, we have the average income from a clinic is $450. The recommended patient's price for amblyopia therapy, for example, the standard plan offers 90% gross margins to our providers. Why? Because the recommended patient price is $995 for a 3-month program, which includes several visits. It includes the access to the training software for 80 sessions or 1 year. It includes the company monitoring and technical support. So all of this package is sold by the clinic, is offered by the clinic to the patient. And the clinic, they just need to subscribe. Each subscriptions enables them access to different number of patients. We also have programs that we offer directly to patients, mostly the wellness indications and post-surgery, which is available online for direct purchase by patients. Some of them requires vision exams. So it only offers access to the software, but in order to activate the software, they need to enter their vision exam data. So they still need to buy it separately. So we do not really compete with the providers on pricing. We have 100 clinics worldwide that works with us. We have some clinics in the US already, some of them with the VSP. That's why we won the VSP Innovation Challenge. One of the reasons, because they saw that we are actually, half of them are VSP Premier clinics. They found us somehow and started to work with us. That's our team. We have experienced team, software engineers, marketing, and a clinical team, optometrists that works with our customers, which includes eye care providers and patients. We have inquiries from all over the world, and we need to handle them. We also have a very board of directors, very experienced CEOs from the industry, and world-renowned ophthalmologists on our advisory board. And we need to expand our advisory board now to have ODs from the US. That's what we are doing now. Sarah Marlin and Mike Turner from the UK. So basically, the opportunity we offer eye care specialists is to address a real need of customers with eye diseases and vision impairments beyond what they can do now. Not replacing any current treatment. It's just an additional treatment to provide effective treatment with significant impact on vision and life quality. As I gave you example, people are able to obtain their driver's license or to qualify for, I don't know, army, police, different professions, to increase patient satisfaction and to add additional revenue generating service to their practice. And yes, so we are not a single product company. We address a variety of vision conditions and eye diseases, across a variety of indications. And we are creating and leading a new market category of neurovisual enhancement. Yeah, we are raising funds and we need to scale up. That's the goal. That's our goal this year. So basically, our message to the world is that the key to optimize visual functions today lies in addressing the brain as well as the eyes. It doesn't make sense any longer to only focus on correcting the optics, where we can improve vision through the brain significantly. So that's a longer version of the short presentation. We can go. I can open the clinical data presentation.
Any questions from the team as we transition to the next presentation?
Yeah, I had a few, if we can.
Yeah.
Amblyopia, why does the indication only start at 9+?
So
Was that because of who was included in the study, or was efficacy not as
yeah,
high?
it was designed to treat amblyopia when there is no alternative. So below 9, the brain is plastic, so
Yes.
potentially they can improve vision with zero cost by occlusion, which is primary care. Today we know that if in countries where you have the best way to treat amblyopia is early screening, detection, and treatment, aggressive treatment during the critical period. But even in countries with good health systems, with prevention programs, national prevention programs for the past 30 years, they still have 2 to 3% of the population because of various reasons. First, even if you treat it effectively at young age, it doesn't necessarily lead to normal vision. You may improve their vision from 2100 to 2050, significant improvement. They still have poor visual acuity, or you can improve it to 2020 and do not have binocular vision. One of the main problems of amblyopia is even if you have effective treatment, what happens when you take off the patch? The brain still suppresses that eye. So the ultimate goal of effective amblyopia therapy is to have an anti-suppression effect, to have fusion, to move the patient from suppression to fusion. We have regression. So even you have effective treatment, you stop the treatment, you have regression. You have late diagnosis of patients. So all of these reasons, we have a lot of immigrants, and you have patients older than 30, they are older than the prevention program. So you have high prevalence. According to recent meta-analysis data, the US amblyopia rate is close to 3%. And the highest population is over 20 years old. Now, having said that, 3% of the US population, we estimate that only 1 out of 10 is a real customer, because 9 of them either got used to this condition. This is what they know from early age.
Yep.
They don't have a need. They get along in life with one eye. And the second is if they have active eye deviation, strabismus, they are disqualified. They need to have straight eye. Because of the anti-suppression effect that we have, they may develop diplopia.
Okay. And just staying on amblyopia, you mentioned a CPT code, a Cat3 code, but you said there's is it no reimbursement yet, but you're seeking reimbursement, or?
So the first step is the American Medical Association needs to grant new codes. We got new codes, 2 codes. First codes is to cover physician time and the supply of the device. That's the exact statement, the supply of the software license. The second one covers physician time. Each visit, actually the clinician can bill on 2 codes. First is an E&M code. The first one is an extended code because they are doing full refraction and full examination in amblyopia. And the second, and then they need to discuss with the patient. We also included in-office guided session, which probably majority of the clinics will not do it, but they would still bill on their time. So it should provide us extended time billing for the physician. And the second code, they still need to examine the patient in the follow-up. to see the improvement, but it's a shorter examination, and then to discuss with the patient. So 2 codes each visit. The first you get, because it's a new product, a new treatment, the category 3 codes does not include pricing. You need to negotiate it per payer. So we need to educate the payers about the new codes according to work that we've done with a company in the US, strategy consultation, reimbursement strategy consultation. We interviewed medical directors of insurance companies and some of our customers, providers. According to this work, there should be significant, it should be accepted by insurance companies, unlike vision therapy, which is not evidence-based because we have the unique FDA and the unique studies. So we should have sufficient coverage. You have 5 years after 5 years, the AMA, they have a CPT editorial panel for the pricing. So you need to move to category 1 within 5 years. And in order to move to category 1, you need to have 5 published studies. We already have 6, but one of them has to be on US subjects. So it's not enough that we have US publications. We need to have another study in the US. And the second, they do a survey to see the usage of the codes. So you need to have high usage. And then you move, then they price it. We need to consult to see with the providers because we got some feedback that we might not want to have reimbursement because it will limit the profitability.
Right.
So we need to make sure, we need to validate this point if we are going to do it or not.
Yeah, it's a great question to cover with the advisory group once we stand that up, because you will hear that. What we'll have to make sure is that we're clear about, is it managed vision care reimbursement or is it medical, right? Because those are 2 different buckets.
To the best of my knowledge or to the work that they've done, it's medical.
Because that can be a lot higher, right? So the other amblyopia company that was in Boulder, they're reimbursed through medical payers, and they're getting reimbursed at $3,000 per patient.
Wow, they use our codes.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure which.
I remember talking to him. They started using our, because they applied 5 months before us.
Yes.
They were not approved.
Yes.
So now they're using at least one of our codes.
Yeah, they're starting to they're in minor payers right now, but they're working on larger ones, and I think you've got a greater amount of clinical evidence. They've got US based studies, right? So that's the only differential, but that's exciting.
Maybe we can cooperate.
I think so. I would say that the 2 things that I think could be areas of collaboration are coverage, because they've got a really good approach at gaining coverage, and the second would be delivery, right?
Remember, their indication for use is age 4 to 7.
Correct.
And us is 9 and up.
Yeah, so not competitive.
Right, they complement, actually, yeah.
Yeah, they have, they would like to increase the age. They hope to do it, but it will take them a lot of time, if at all.
Yeah. Now, in the, I've got one more question, then I'll let the smarter people on the team ask some. Because the number one thing that always comes up when we've started talking with folks is, well, how much does it cost and how much can I charge? And the slide, if I understood it correctly, the 60 patient per year package works out to about 6,000 per year. But you can get 50% off if you pay annually, so it's 3,000 per year. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. And
Because
again,
if that's true,
this is something we need to validate it, and we can change the pricing. So this is the amblyopia. So one feedback that we got from Ashkan from Topcon, it's too complicated. You need
Yes.
to have one price, and we should ask. This during the focus group.
Yeah,
So that's
I heard it from True Digital as well yesterday, Yair. Yeah.
yeah, maybe they are right, and we need to do it. So if you go to the 12 licenses, that's so one license. This would give you access to 12 licenses.
yeah,
And if we go for the
yeah, I like that
standard
one
plan,
better. Yeah,
yeah, that's yeah, $99 per patient if you use the subscription for the full capacity.
yeah. So it's $100 per patient,
Yeah.
and in amblyopia, the cash pay patient is paying over $1,000 out of pocket. So
Yeah.
your 995 price is the market cash pay price. So
Yes, the
that's
end
exciting.
user price. Yeah, that's our recommended price.
Yeah. Now
And again, we need to validate the
yes,
recommended end user price.
yes. Now the other packages though, I think is where our advisory group's going to be really, really helpful. Because I'm thinking things like sports vision and other, post cataract, post LASIK that may not have a fair market price established yet. Um,
Yeah.
maybe we get a little bit more aggressive. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. So this is where you remember the online store for direct patient
yes,
purchase is 99. If if they do high, this volume, it's
half.
far cheaper. And when the patient buys it online, it's without any vision exam, any follow-up, no monitoring of a clinician.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, if you're an ECP, you have to buy multiple subscriptions, one for each type, or is it?
Right now, we have separate. Some of them are asking us to blend it, to mix it, and we do it for them. So we send a special link. But it's another thing we need to validate and consider, maybe to make it more simple to have one.
So Eric never asks questions without having a comment behind it. So I'm assuming he's in the same place. This is where I got confused, where it was like, okay, I've got to buy multiple packages based on indication, and the pricing is different in each of them. So I, yeah, is that where you were going?
I mean,
Yeah, right now, remember that amblyopia, we have unique offering.
Yes,
It's the only clinically proven and FDA cleared for above the age of 9.
yes,
The examination are more extensive, so it takes more time from the clinician. They
yes,
use more time on the system. They train more training sessions. They need more support. So we are more comfortable with the higher pricing. The other indications, the post-surgery indications are usually, so if it's immediately post-surgery, the clinic would offer it. We have some clinics that they just have a subscription and they offer it complimentary, free of charge. They do not expect to make money. But if they come 1 year, 2 years post-surgery, in LASIK, they can come 20 years post-surgery. They will be willing to pay just to get rid of their glasses.
oh yeah,
So we recommend our recommended price is half, is $495. And again, we need to validate. It's too high, too low.
yeah,
my only comment, and it's not a hard barrier, but we're effectively selling two things here, right? We're selling a new technology, and we have to clinically sell to the ECP why you should do the technology. And we're also selling a completely different way of business to any other product in the United States, right? So you've also got to get them comfortable with the subscription model that no one else is doing, right? So we've doubled
Yeah.
our difficulty. as opposed to
Yes.
what most would say is, hey, let me just pay a click. And that's easy to have different pricing per click, right? If I sell an amblyopia, I'm going to pay this click. If I sell a sports, I'm going to pay this click. Um,
Yes. In the past, we sold these licenses. So you could buy a bulk of licenses to get a discount or a single, and then there was no stress. You can use it at your leisure whenever you want. And we saw that it doesn't provide us a sustainable business. So by moving to a subscription based, we got two benefits. First is a sustainable business. And second, we were able to drop down the prices significantly. So they have much higher margins. And if a clinic does just a few patients a year, they are not really qualified customers for us. We would not make significant business out of them. And because they do it so random, they don't remember, they need more support. So a clinic that does estimate to do at least once a month or 12 a year, then they become a qualified customers. It's worthwhile for us to invest, and they make more margins. That's the logic why we change our business model.
no, I completely get the logic, but it's going to be a trade-off, right? How many your will have less success selling into new customers in exchange for a higher retention rate. Um, and I don't know what the answer is on which one is better, right? To your point, historically, retention rates on all optical products are bad, which is why the sales cycle is not like you have to have come back in there every month in order to keep them on. And I don't know if that was part of what you guys did in Europe to have like continuous rep time. But yeah,
I think we should basically we should strive for an annual subscription. We should motivate and do whatever we can for them to do an annual subscription. Maybe initially give very significant discount for annual.
Mm.
Yeah, we've used the special introductory price very, very well. So you show them the price that you're going to move to, right? Your desired price, and then you launch with a special introductory price. That was part of how, Mark and the team quintupled our revenue
Yeah.
was people got very excited about, getting something. And then it allows you to not take price increases. You're just taking away the special introductory price. So it's a lot easier for the market to digest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like a good fit with this kind of a product too, this innovation. We're going to need all we can to get them over that hurdle.
Yeah, for year one, right? What we
Right.
want is everybody to know somebody in their local
Yeah.
geography, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
doing it. So,
And,
Well
uh,
said.
and they need and they need to make a lot of money. I mean, so
yes.
one, two,
That
three
helps.
patients will cover the annual cost. So
Yeah.
the break-even cost they should come to it very fast. And again, we are open to listen and to accommodate and to make decisions accordingly. At the end of the day, we want to sell. So, clinical. So any more questions before I go to the clinical evidence review?
I just had a few things that I picked up as saying, hey, I think our reps could use this as we were going through this. And to the extent that you've got them already, uh, the first is US numbers on your slide on the global side. For whatever reason, good nor bad, US people are very uh, you're US centric, like the rest of the world doesn't matter. So to the extent that we have US only numbers, that would be uh, helpful to help them understand the need. Um, do you guys have like a sales guide on? So we say we sell that in, they're excited. I don't know if there's a separate presentation on implementation where it has like what you mentioned, what's the flow chart of which patients are right? How do you identify the correct patient? So for amblyopia, it's these things, not strabismus, but do you guys have something like that?
Yeah, treatment criteria, treatment protocol, and process for each indication. We have it. We have recorded presentations, and we have just PowerPoint presentations available. Right now, we are offering onboarding call for each new clinic. Today, we had 4 here. But yeah, once we have a lot, we might need to do it together
Okay.
for them to join like a webinar, daily webinar.
So that's interesting. So are you is the assumption that we're just doing lead gen and then you guys are doing onboarding, or are our reps also doing onboarding and launch?
I assume that at the beginning, at least, you will need our support, both the remote support and local support from a US clinical specialist that we are planning to recruit.
What do you think, Mark?
I think early on, I'll have to think about that. Part of it is how long, Yair, is that onboarding call or initial training call? Because obviously we're going to have to do that with these. I keep calling them pilot sites. It's not really a pilot because it's a proven therapy, but these sites that we're going to have using it in November and December.
Yeah.
How long would the initial, I guess, training call be?
They schedule 30 minutes. I know some of them need more, but right now it's blocked for 30 minutes.
Okay, that's shorter than I thought.
Yeah, I would say they would need an hour. So like I participated in one of the calls today from a laser refractive clinic in Austria. They do laser and cataract. 75% they do laser. So we gave an overview of the company and we asked them, which area do you want us to focus? Said, oh, technical. We want to know the pricing, how we set up patients. They wanted to know some technical data. Other, they ask for the clinical data or they want to know the mechanism of action. So it varies from clinics.
Yeah.
And you just kind of said that mechanism of action, because I'm going to see a couple of customers right after this call. And they look at it. First of all, everybody thinks this is super cool. Okay, you've got something fantastic here. So thank you for allowing us to represent it here in the States for you. The one question I get tripped up on, because I've tried to read the stuff, is what's the magic? What is that mechanism of action? How does it work? And is there I realize I'll get trained further on this, and I'm not an eye doctor. One of the eye doctors was telling me, he read through all your studies and he was telling me how it works. It seemed in his mind, the 2 lines of acuity improvement, or 2.5 lines, that was big, but it seemed to come down to the contrast sensitivity in his mind was really what the magic was, the improvement in that.
It starts from contrast, yeah.
Okay. How does it do that?
Okay, in one line, the crowding effect? You are familiar with the crowding effect? There is a reverse phenomenon. We can actually induce the neural response instead of suppressing it. Basically, this is what we do. We induce very strong response by masking the stimulation outside the receptive fields with other stimulation. And I'll show you. Let me show you. Try to squeeze it to 10 minutes.
The way I was going to try to do this myself the other day, but I didn't qualify. I was outside the plus and minus 1.5 on my prescription. So
don't feel bad, Mark.
You didn't qualify either?
No.
I'm not there yet, guys. Sorry.
Young kid.
It seems like it gets worse by about a half diopter a day. So
yeah, I'm right behind you on that, Mark. The downward slope has begun for sure.
You need the doggone websites to say, no, you're too old.
So we all know that the brain plays a key role in our vision, and vision depends both on image capturing and processing. We only focus on visual processing. Nothing happens to the eye. No refraction and accommodation changes as a result of the training. And our science is based on 4 main building blocks. First is the Gabor patch. This is the Gabor patch. This hologramic image is considered to be the most effective visual stimulation existing. If you would like to stimulate the eye and measure the electric response in the visual cortex, we can look at thousands of different pictures. This image would induce the highest response. The reason for that is because the shape of it perfectly matches the receptive field of the neurons in the visual cortex, one-to-one. It was discovered by Dennis Gabor, named after him. Dennis Gabor invented the hologram. He won a Nobel Prize for it. Behind the hologram and this image, there is a complex mathematical formulation. So in our software, we have a drawing engine that uses this complex formulation to draw this Gabor image on the screen. So we are only using this type of simulation in our software simply because it induces very high neural response. But if we would only try to present this image in front of the eye, nothing will happen. It has to be in a very specific manner. The second scientific pillar is based on this famous cat visual cortex experiment of Hubel and Wiesel from 1959. They won Nobel Prize for this experiment. They anesthetized the cat in the laboratory, inserted a macro electrode to his visual cortex, connected the amplifier, and in a dark room, they projected the light on the screen and measured the electric response in specific neurons in the cortex. And they found the phenomenon. By the way, I searched it in YouTube and I found it. It's recorded on 8mm camera. So they found that a single neuron in the visual cortex is responsible and sensitive to process only one type of visual stimulation based on three main parameters. The location of the stimulation within the visual field. So if this is my visual field and the stimulation is upper left or bottom right, different neurons would react to process the visual information. The orientation of the stimulation and the spatial frequency. So if this is the stimuli, we have here a horizontal stimuli, only neurons that are sensitive and responsible to process this type of visual stimulation, they are all responding, reacting, and interacting among them. We need several of them to react together to characterize an image. So they found the basic mechanism of visual stimulation in the primary visual cortex. And 21 years later, they won Nobel Prize for this discovery. What's important for us, if we know the correlation between specific visual stimulation and specific neural response, we may find ways to manipulate specific areas in the cortex. It took 40 years later until an Israeli scientist, Uri Polat, has replicated the same cat visual cortex experiment, and he found a phenomenon that the neural response to a stimuli could be facilitated or suppressed, like the crowding effect, depending on the specific location of the masking. So he replicated the experiment with another poor cat. And the first part of the experiment, he replaced the projected light with the Gabor patch, because this was already invented and widely used in the field of neurovisual science. So he anesthetized the cat and presented the Gabor patch at different contrast level. And he measured linear correlation between contrast and response. This was not new to science, it was already known for 40 years. The second part of the experiment was the main discovery that led to RevitalVision technology. He added another two flankers on the side to these two Gabors. And at specific areas, he measured very strong neural response. So the green is just the response to a target Gabor, and the blue is to those triple Gabors. It looks like that. So this would be the amount of neural response, the electric response measured to a target Gabor. Suppression, no response to when you have only two. And when you present three Gabor patches at very specific order, it induces very strong neural response. Now, you can imagine that if we separate the distance, we increase the distance of the masking to the central one, at a certain distance, there will be suppression. If we change the orientation, there will be suppression. The highest neural response happens when the target is on the edge of vision with the presence of two other gabors on the side at higher contrast. Our main intellectual property are algorithms that know how to calculate these optimal areas. And it takes the patient to the edge. Most of the training is the system is taking the patient to the edge of his vision in order to induce very strong neural response. So basically what's important for us that Uri Polat had found a way to manipulate those neurons. He discovered a way to induce very strong neural response that doesn't exist in real life. Neuroplasticity is the third scientific pillar. It relates to the ability of the nerve system to adapt to changing condition and acquiring new skills. And up to the 1950, what was known to science is that the adult brain is hard. There is no plasticity at older age. But since then, 80 years, we know that there are a lot of evidence in the literature that in some people, there is evidence for neuroplasticity in older age. For example, you have patients with amblyopia that at the age of 70, they have cataract, and suddenly the amblyopic eye, as the cataract progresses, the amblyopic eye wakes up, and after the surgery, the amblyopic eye goes to sleep again. And there are different case reports in the literature. Interestingly, those reports are like similar to a report on a man bitten a dog. These are exception cases. That's why it was reported in the literature. So the question is, what is the real prevalence? So we need to look at large data to know the prevalence. And I want to show you two studies. One is a large meta-analysis to see what is the prediction of improved vision in the amblyopic eye after loss of vision of the non-amblyopic eye. It was published in Lancet. The researchers collected from the literature 254 cases of patients 11 years and up, so they are considered adult brain in amblyopia, who lost vision in the good eye. Only 10% had improvement, so improvement is considered more than 2 lines, and the rest 90%, nothing, even with permanent occlusion. And it was mostly related to the optical correction. And the second study is the largest study that was conducted by the PEDIG, Pediatric Eye Disease Investigator Group. They took 507 patients with amblyopia, with anisometropic amblyopia. They divided them into 2 groups, younger group 7 to 12, and an older group 13 to 17. Each of the groups were divided into 2. One group only received optical correction, and the second group, optical correction, patching, and some near vision activities. So from the younger group, 53 responded versus 25 with optical correction. So only 28% was attributed to the patching. The rest is just the effect of the optical correction. So from this study, we can see that after the age of 7, patching efficacy drops down to less than 30%. And for the older group, it's only 2%. So it was all attributed to the optical correction. So patching efficacy is basically useless at these ages. So these studies shows very clearly that there is some residual neuroplasticity in older people, but it's very difficult to use it, to utilize it. So our main, our key technology or science is that we have a technique to utilizes those residual neuroplasticity that exist in most humans. We do it in a very consistent and effective manner. I'll show you how we do that. And the fourth scientific pillar is perceptual learning. Perception can be modified with experience, and vision performance improves with practice. But what we saw in adults, that if we just occlude the eye and we provide general stimulation, it doesn't help. In order to utilize those residual neuroplasticity, we have to do a very unique technique, a repetitive performance of control and specific visual tasks. And if done properly, you could use those residual of neuroplasticity, which reflects in 2.5 lines on average in visual acuity. So how this perceptual learning is done with RevitalVision We use this lateral masking technique with those 3 Gabor images. So we induce very strong neural response in a repetitive manner. So slowly we are training those neurons to be more responsive to the visual stimulation and to form new connections because they are reacting together. By doing that, we increase the detection point, we reduce the surrounding neural noise level, which basically improves contrast sensitivity function. It all starts with the improvement of contrast sensitivity function. As a result of the improvement of CSF, visual acuity improves. And as a result of the more balanced visual acuity, stereo and binocular functions improves. So this is the mechanism of action of how it works on specific neurons in the brain. So if I summarize this science, neurons in the primary visual cortex respond only to one type of visual stimulation based on location, orientation, and spatial frequency. RevitalVision software identifies patient-specific cortical deficit or sensitivities, neurons that do not respond well to specific visual stimulation based on threshold detection tasks. Algorithms then tailor the specific stimulation program to match those deficits. We use Gabor patch, which is in a lateral masking technique to induce very strong neural response in a repetitive manner. So this way we train those neurons to be more responsive and to form new connections. So this is the science, how it was translated into technology. Is the next 4 slides. So the patients are stimulated with various visual stimulation in a random manner. We control this. So you can see here different spatial frequency, orientation, contrast, in order to activate all the different neurons in the visual cortex. Each of them is sensitive to process only one type of visual stimulation. That's an example for an exercise for a visual task. So there will be 2 display, one after the other, one with a triple image, one with 2 images, and the patient needs to identify the triple image. And if the triple image appeared on the first display, he would press the left button, second is right, and the task will become harder and harder until the patient cannot see the target, and he will be forced to guess an answer because the system needs to measure the maximum vision. Since he has 50% chance to answer correct, the system will go back and measures the same point several times. Once the patient is consistent, the system knows that's exactly his threshold. That's the maximum vision of the patient. He measured it and went to the next visual task. So there are 2 calibration sessions. The first 2 are calibration sessions. The system is measuring the patient neural sensitivities to different types of visual stimulation. And based on that, it will tailor specific stimulation to match those deficits. So if I'll give you an example, a meridian amblyopia patient. This individual was born as a baby with an astigmatism, and the image that was transferred from the retina to the brain was blurry at the degree of the astigmatism. And those neurons in the cortex that are responsible to process this debris were never stimulated properly during early childhood. And now, even with the cylinder, these neurons, this is exactly his cortical deficit. The system will identify it and would target those neurons and would work on them. So what makes RevitalVision so effective if you compare it to other amblyopia program is 3 things. First is the level of the stimulation using the lateral masking technique with Gabor patches, inducing very strong neural response. Second is the ability of the system to match the stimulation to patient-specific needs. And third is the ability of the software to train the patient at very specific low contrast level. In a controlled randomized studies, what we do to the placebo group, we train them with the same Gabor patch, but at high contrast, without making it specific to the patient. So it has to be at a very low contrast to induce very strong neural response. That's the mechanism of action.
One day I'll be able to say it just as well as you just did, but
I
no,
was going to
it's
sum that up in 2 sentences, Mark.
Yeah,
no, it's fascinating. But
It
again,
is.
I'm a sales guy. I
Yeah, I
can
know.
paint the picture for a customer, I think, of how it
yeah,
works, and then we get into science at a deeper level. But
And
I
yeah.
think I
We can
think
send them to record that presentation if they are really into learning how it works. And you can say, you know the crowding effect. There is a reverse effect. There is an opposite effect where we can induce very strong and specific neural response.
Yeah. And I think one of the goals of the pilot should be to identify U.S. best optometrist speakers who
oh,
can
that's
Right.
record those presentations so that it's a peer of theirs giving it.
yeah. I think the point that always jumps out at me is that it's calibrated. It's tailored to the needs of each patient, and I don't think we can lose sight of that. I think that's very special. And I do believe there's a way to tell this story in a powerful but simplified way too. But we need the guidance too, and Yair tells it as a physician really, and but I think our audiences are going to demand different levels of that story.
Yeah, maybe different accent as well.
You could see why we have another meeting scheduled like this because we rapidly ran out of time though. I think it was time well spent. I hope you agree. Yeah.
Oh,
Is
and I
there
sent Charles a message during this. I'd love to get those 13 clinics in the US that have this technology already, the VSP ones, because those might be able to help us too. We can leverage them. And then secondly, there was, and I'm forgetting the names now, Charles. I think I had sent in an email last week that were involved in the clinical study. I want to say they're out of Kansas. One of them's the MD, the past president of the American Ophthalmology Association, then another
Mm.
MD, but then an optometrist out of Kansas City as well. I'd love to see if anybody has contact with them because I'd like to get in touch with them and go pay them a visit.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about? I forget the names
Yes.
off the top of my head now.
Yeah, Hankler, Waring, no, Hankler, Lindstorm, and
Something
Daniel Dury.
Boxer.
And Dury.
Yeah.
Boxer, Wilshire is in LA. He's in Beverly Hills.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Thank you.
He's a regular customer. He's using it with patients for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's primarily a refractive surgeon.
Yep.
And we'll
Yeah,
get
and then the
that
one
list
out of
to you.
Dury, he's the OD. He's the optometrist, right? The one out of Dury Vision.
No, Daniel Dury is a LASIK surgeon, but I assume that many of those clinics, mainly some of the optometrists, were dealing with handling the patients.
Yep.
They were just referring them to the OD to go for it.
Yeah.
Is there any way that whoever has a good relationship with them can make a connection for me? Maybe it's through email or something.
I'd love to connect you with George Waring. That he was very interested when we met again in Aspen in February. I tried to reach out to him, but found it very difficult. But probably might be easier for you. I will
Okay.
connect you.
Okay.
And we'll get you that
Thank you.
list, Mark, of the practices as well. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks to the team. We've got another meeting scheduled next week, but in the meantime, if there's anything you need or any way we can support or help, please just call, email, whatever. All right.
is
And
there a is there a library or
you
like
know
a
what?
SharePoint site or somewhere where we could go do some pre-readings?
Yeah, we will. Rona is the one who has the access to that, and we will provide the team with access to a wide range of collateral and presentations that would be helpful. Okay.
You got a bunch of nerds here, so we love to dig in on our own and then come with questions next week. So
Okay. And thanks for the enthusiasm and the commitment. And we're as excited as you are to get this completely underway.
that's
And
great.
Charles, after I wrap up this trip, Charles, then I'll get in touch with you Thursday and we can start to plan out the